When we speak of trailblazers and change makers and visionaries in the field of dentistry, at the top of that list is Dr. Jeanne C. Sinkford. Oh, I just had the greatest conversation with her that I'm so thrilled to share with you. We talked a little bit about her vast career in dentistry that spans over 6 decades. Oh, and by the way, she's still going strong. We talk about why she went into dentistry, her experiences as a female dean of a dental school, and how it was to be a Black woman in dentistry at the time. We talk a little bit about racism, how she came from it and really thrived from it. Oh, and of course, the importance of diversity in dentistry and how mentorships make all the difference. Well, Dr. Sinkford requires no introduction, but let me provide a few highlights. As I mentioned, she was the first dean of a U.S. dental school and held that distinction for 25 years. She was the dean of Howard University College of Dentistry from 1975 to 1991. It was at Howard that she received her dental degree, but she got her advanced education in Northwestern University, where she specialized in prosthodontics. She also got her master's and her doctorate in physiology. Dr. Sinkford also, that you may not know, is a pediatric dentist. She received her training at Children's Hospital National Medical Center. She established the Diaz Center for Equity and Diversity, and most notably, she was the first dentist to be appointed to the Institute of Medicine. Also a fellow of the International and the American College of Dentists. She's a world-renowned dental educator, clinician, researcher, advocate, mentor, clinician, you name it. There are just so many awards and honors to list here, but I will provide a whole entire bio that you can read on Dr. Sinkford. Well, I tell you, please enjoy this conversation. I know that I will treasure it forever. Dr. Sinkford, can you please share with us why did you choose dentistry and when did you decide to become a dean?
I decided to choose dentistry because my husband was a medical student. And I didn't really want to be in the same profession as he was. And so when I got an opportunity for a scholarship to dental school, I accepted it. So I got a 4-year scholarship to study dentistry. Wow. And then when I decided to be a dean, I did not want to be the dean. I wanted to do research. I'd studied for my Ph.D., my advanced degree, and both those degrees had gone away to Northwestern to study. And then I came back to Howard. I wanted to practice part-time and then to teach part-time. And so I taught part-time for 2 years. And then I wanted to, because the opportunity was there for me to get an advanced specialty training, I decided that they wanted me to be an orthodontist. And I said, well, he said, a prosthodontist. That's what we need is prosthodontists. So I went to Northwestern to do my advanced training program. And that was very fruitful for me because I was able to get my PhD. I wanted to do the basic science. I wanted to be a researcher. I wanted to be by that time, I wanted to be a part of the research faculty. And I knew that I would need to have a PhD in order to do that. And so while I was at Northwestern, I got my master's and my PhD and my clinical training in prosthodontics. And then I returned to Howard. The chair of the department had to retire. The age had caught up with him, and the dean offered me the chairship of, and I almost had to take it because I had to return to Howard. My advanced training had been funded that way.
I see. So I can imagine you were not only the first woman dean, but the first chair of a department of prosthodontics as a woman too, correct?
I was.
Yeah.
I was the first chair and it was really interesting. I became the dean. There were no other women capable of or with the credentials to be a dean of a dental school. but also there were no women chairs of departments.
Yeah,
And so
wow.
when I became the department chair, I decided that first of all we would coordinate the departments so that women would begin to move ahead, would get a promotion schedule for moving women ahead, but also I would begin to look for women for these positions
Mhm.
because they were women that were in dental education were the assistant to the dean or something. They never had the
Oh,
full
yeah.
title for associate dean and the responsibilities that go with that.
Yeah, and this is in the mid 70s that you were
That's
appointed.
right. That's right.
I mean, I'm just trying to like picture myself now and you're as yourself being
Yeah.
the first woman, and probably there was a lot of doubt, there were challenges. Can you tell me what your greatest challenge was being a first woman dean? And you held that distinction for 25 years, Dr.
Well,
Sinkford.
yes, I didn't see myself as a woman. I saw myself as a qualified person. And
Great.
my colleagues saw that the same way because I had grown up at the school. I had advanced in the ranks because I met the criteria. I excelled in each one. I graduated first in my class, well, first of all.
Yes.
So I always was um, very competitive, but also a generous individual. I shared my information with others. And so my leadership grew as I became the department chair. I was the department chair of the largest department in the school, which was the prosthodontic department, which
Yeah.
was fixed and removable. And
Mhm.
so I also was able to bring those disciplines together and then
Mhm.
establish a faculty development program because I wanted to be a top down leader. I did not want to be a leader seen as a leader that was did not give opportunities to others to lead, but
Oh,
also that we wanted to be sure that we were developing each curriculum in each area according to accreditation standards and
mhm.
also to student expectations.
Oh, that's great. And then they could stand on their own
That's
and
right.
empower them to do so. Well, that's great. Well, I mean, we speak about you being the first woman, but of course, also you're a Black woman.
Yeah, right. And that was that was I think being a black woman was a real challenge because I needed to be sure that we had black males,
Mhm.
opportunities for black men. And
Mhm.
I could not be the woman that was just recruiting women. I had to be the person that was recruiting across the board and also realizing that the reinforcement that students need was not just for the minority students,
Mhm.
because the transition from a 15-hour clock out to a 4,000 clock out curriculum that you had in dental school, the
Mhm.
transition is a shock to all students. And so
Yeah.
therefore the minority students and the black students were just a part of that student population that needed the nurturing and also the encouragement that they could do it and that they would also end up being graduates and they would return to communities that needed them. And that was the big thing.
Yeah.
Not only the personal gratitudes for becoming a dentist, but
Yeah.
what the opportunities would be and the unique opportunities that were at Howard and the Harry, because our schools were graduating almost 30% of the black dentists in the country. And we continue to do that.
Mhm.
And not only do we recruit them, but we prepare them to enter their communities, but also to compete with other students from other schools and to realize some of the challenges that they have when they return to communities.
That is true. Well, describing just what I feel so strongly about mentorship. And
Yeah,
you're not only, yeah, supporting and well, there's one thing in recruiting them, but once they're in, it's the support structure that they need, the support system, and
mhm.
then follow them throughout dental school and beyond and their success. And yeah, that whole cycle of going to the community and then being the role model and inspiring others.
Yes, right.
But I know you have hundreds of mentors, but you don't even know the thousands of students and dentists that you are a mentor, that you're not even aware of, like myself. You know, I
Right,
didn't have the
no.
privilege to be in that Howard, but yes, you're quite inspiration. So yeah, I mean, you
Well,
know, one.
I had restraints though as a female because I had the expectations of women has they have been always you're limited because they say a woman should do this or that's not what females do. And I had that as a child because I was born into a segregated community in Washington,
Mhm,
D.C. I
mhm,
had the first uh, racism feeling that I got was when I had to pass the white school to go to the black school. Okay,
mhm,
as a child, and that did not even dawn on me because my mother was the backstop. You know, the black school had better teachers; they had master's degrees. Okay, and
master's.
then we were very fortunate in Washington D.C. where we had Dunbar High School, which was one of the premier high schools in the country. And when I go back there and I see our graduates up on the postage stamps, U.S. postage stamps, because
Yeah,
they're so outstanding, I said, you know, I went through this
you
not
were.
knowing that I was developing the skills to lead, but also that others would see that leadership. And Dr. Cheek, the president of the university, when he selected me to be the dean of the dental school, it
Mhm,
was like a major phenomenon, you know, because there were no women deans in medical schools or dental schools in this
right.
country. And so I,
Truly.
I really was a icebreaker, but also I had to be sure that it wasn't, my gender was not important. It was what I knew, what I had, the vision that I had for the school, and
Mhm,
also what I saw the mission of Howard University and Meharry. Both of those schools have been the backbone of oral health in this country, and because we were one of the first advanced programs in oral surgery and in
mhm.
pediatric dentistry and the general practice residencies, all of those were pioneered, you know, at Howard. And I helped write the curriculum for those programs.
Oh, well, you know, it's that's just so amazing. And because your vision has been so big, you've just kind of brought so many people along with you. It's, mothers are so important for her to instill in you that, you didn't even have that first experience or experience of being Black because you were being taught by the best. And that was probably just the first time when you were young. But going forward, it was something that you wanted to advocate for, but didn't limit you.
Now
Yeah.
that Howard had such a tradition in the civil rights,
Mhm.
we already knew that we were going to be, we had gone through the 60s, the civil rights laws of the 60s, and we were free. We were Americans, but Americans were so, and still are, so under served, and the opportunities for us. We still have to reach out, and especially the elementary school level. In my programs, I've tried to get the schools, the dental schools, to stretch their capacity for academic community partnerships so that
Yeah.
they begin to reach down to the elementary school level so that they reach those kids and they talk to those kids not only about oral health but life in general, and then
Yes, yes.
mentor them and help them find mentors because
Oh, yes.
they've got to, and use the graduates also, but it also means training the individuals that giving them some experiences for mentoring while they're in school so they have some mentoring skills when they graduate. Mhm.
Well, yes, and yes, I want to carry
Yeah.
on that mission because if we're waiting for the kids in college to talk about dentistry, it's too late. We need to get to them early so we can get them on the right path, increase the literacy, and make sure they have the study skills and leadership skills. So yes, I agree. Strengthening and lengthening that pipeline earlier to
And
our kids.
the data will show that if they don't know, if they can't pass geometry by the eighth grade, it is too late to start unless you have special programs of what I call the Band-Aid programs. You know, we've got right students, but they haven't had the mental development or the cognitive development that was needed earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Kids are smart, but you've got to have the cognitive development that goes along with just native intelligence.
That is so true. Yes. So the education, socioeconomic factors are a barrier to entry, but
Right.
also we have to talk about, since the session is systemic racism, you would agree that systemic racism is a barrier. And I was wondering, in your span of 6 decades in dentistry, have you experienced racism in our profession?
Well, first of all, I think you try women. We survived because we have understood it was there, but it was not going to stand in our way. So we tried to find resources that allow us to overcome those barriers that exist. Our neighborhood, the barrier in the very neighborhood that you live in, that's a barrier. You don't even think about that until you move. When I was in college, my younger sister was studying nursing. I mean, was studying elementary education, and she says, "Jeanne, we can't grow up in the ghetto." And we hadn't even thought of,
No.
because I lived in the shadow of the Capitol. Okay, the Library of Congress was my neighborhood library. I could go through there and check out books and read in the reading room. My sister taught me how to use the catalog there in the library and use the. But it was I thought that you living in Washington D.C. and living in the neighborhood where we lived, it was just like everybody else's neighborhood, but it wasn't. And we have advantages. And many times, even in our communities, we can do better. Our churches can do better, our community groups can do better, and certainly the parents, the PTAs, the Parent Teachers Association, so they do need support because we're talking about new media, the use of new media, and many of the parents don't have those skills to use that effect or to be sure that they're using them as learning tools and not just for entertainment.
Exactly. Oh, yeah. Well, that is so great. Well, yeah, you touched on mentorship. You know, diversity in dentistry and mentorships is something I'm very passionate about. And a lot of mentors, as we wrap this up, want to help. A lot of dentists and new graduates want to give back and bring up the next generation of leaders, but they don't think they know how to be a good mentor.
You know.
What would your recommendation be?
And they really don't know how to be good mentors. They usually have some other people that have been role models for them. So,
Mhm.
you know, like either a teacher or a dentist or another individual that's successful that they feel can be mentors for them. But I think we really need a mentoring strategy for for our graduates and also individuals that we would think, and I think about them as individuals that are interested in younger children so
Mhm.
that they can be talk to them so that they understand that dentistry is a magnificent profession. It doesn't matter whether you're a female or male or whatever you want to call yourself, but it is a growing need now that we understand in the oral system connections.
Yeah.
And it's not just the mouth, it's not just the teeth, it's not just the smile, but it's how it affects your heart and your liver and your lungs and all the other things that what we call the comorbidities and the major other organs in the body. And so we want to be sure that our individuals that graduate don't see themselves as just talking about dentistry and teeth. They see themselves as oral physicians, and that they have to be cognitive of the other things in the patients or in their students' lives that affect the way they are supposed to envision themselves and also how they interact in the community. And I think we really do. I found out in my training programs, advanced training programs, leadership training programs,
Mhm.
the feedback that I get from them is that they have some skills, but they need other skills, even at their level, after they finish advanced training programs.
Mhm.
They've had some opportunities to reach down to the lower levels in the dental schools. They
Yeah.
still feel like they need more training as it relates to mentoring, because the children have very different problems, and
Yeah.
they have different learning styles, and then you've got language barriers. So
Yes. Yes.
put
Uh-huh.
all those together, you have to be able to have some and contact has been a problem too.
Yeah.
Many
Mhm.
of them said, the Black communities move, so they're so mobile. One semester you can find them, next semester they've moved, or
Yeah,
they're
that's hard to
different
track.
families. All
Mhm.
these kinds of things enter into how you structure a program, or how you train individuals that are going to deal with these different variables that
Yes.
that our children encounter. And so it's a major challenge, but I think that's one of the fun things that I find when I get a chance to talk to students, like
Yeah.
Little Arkansas, when I went to visit those communities. Those
Mhm.
were not Black kids; they were poor white kids. They hadn't seen a woman dentist. They were
Mhm.
they were they were uh, they weren't skilled in knowing how to brush their teeth. They didn't even. I mean, it was a clue to me that what we're trying to do when we help Black students and minority students, we are helping the community, and ultimately we're helping the world.
Oh, yes. Oh, that's perfect. It absolutely is. It
Mm.
absolutely is. And just being there to show them that, yes, dentistry is a possible profession for them too.
Right. Yes. Mhm.
Yeah. Well, Dr. Sinkford, we're talking about mentorship. Who was your mentor? Who inspired you to go into dentistry?
My family dentist really was the one that inspired me, but the individual that really made it possible for me to go to dental school was the Louise Ball, who was a dentist at Columbia University, and on the Howard University Board of Trustees that left the funds there for us to do advanced training at the dental school. So when I wanted to go to the advanced programs, I didn't have to try to find the funds, because I received funding from the Louis Ball Fund, and
Oh,
my full tuition. But my commitment was similar to the service commitments. You had to pay back each year that you received the funds, which was
okay.
teaching. And so I
And teaching.
returned to Howard. That was why I returned to Howard, because I had a commitment to the school
I
related
see.
to my payments for my advanced education. But I could go anywhere in the world with that money. It did not just go
Oh,
to
it did.
Northwestern. I went to Northwestern because they had the programs that I wanted there, and my husband could go to the University of Chicago to get his residency training in pediatrics.
Oh, goodness. The logistics and getting and
And
everything aligned perfectly.
it's really an interesting story. But
Ah,
I look back on it and I said, well, God must have been looking after us, because both of us, we had no money, had no money, no insurance. But we had a lot of love, and we had a lot of respect for each other's.
yeah.
My father, in fact, when he asked me for my hand in marriage, he said, he said, well, you have to promise me that she's going to be able to do what she desires.
Oh,
So
really?
my father told my husband, and he said, and if she doesn't behave, bring her back home. It was really funny, because my husband always remembered that, because he said, if you don't behave, I'm going to take you back home.
Right. Well, he wasn't going to have that. He
No,
was
no,
so proud
it was
of
really,
you. Oh, that's good. Is that fund still in existence? Do you know, Lucille?
what's that?
Is that fund still in existence? Do you know?
Oh, yes, it is. Oh, yes, it is. Mhm. It's one of
Oh,
it's one of the few that is it's an endowment to Howard University,
I
and
see.
there are funds each year for advanced training and other programs. It's
Hmm.
it's
That's
been very carefully managed. Mhm.
and that's important because when you think about just indebtedness that dental students have, and then the enormous startup costs, it can be very daunting. But to have
Right,
that mixture of funding and grants and
right, right.
private grants and loans and to help students. That kind of helps kind of eliminate that barrier to help them achieve dental school acceptance.
Because I would not have been
True.
able to go to dental school if I had not had that support. Okay.
Wow, yeah, sure. Many,
I was
many
accepted
would agree.
at Harvard for my advanced program, but my husband had been accepted at the University of Chicago, and he thought that was the greatest opportunity for him to study pediatric cardiology. And so, well, yes, absolutely.
Oh, this is great. This is great, Dr. Sinkford. Is there any final thoughts you would like to share with our attendees in this session or listeners about, if they are faced with challenges, obstacles, barriers, how to just overcome that and just push forward for their goals and their dreams?
Well, I always tell women, don't sweat the small stuff.
Why do you hear that?
And it's all small stuff, because if you allow people to hinder your advancement, you will never move ahead. Mm-hmm. Set your own goals, develop a sense of your own talents, and I call gifts from God. Yeah. Because we all have talents, and we get sometimes our communities demand that we hold those talents back, so we're not seen as too smart or too aggressive. We're the Black women, and we're the aggressive women. We're blah blah. We have to. It is a small line between being helpful and being aggressive. Okay, and so we need to develop those skills, but also, I think, realizing that we had the first international women's leadership programs when I was at Padilla. I decided that part of our resources needed to be used so that our American women could go see women, what other women were doing around the world in their communities to improve the health of the children, but also to elevate their own status as it relates to health. And so that International Women's Leadership Program has continued to grow, and Adia is doing a great job now with continuing that leadership, because now we know that global health it's just like next door now.
Right, yeah.
And the pandemic has made it so obvious that we can no longer be isolated. We have to share our research resources, as well as our skills and that we've learned in community health. So community health has become a big thing for us, because the Flexner adjustment of disease, we were so isolated. The Flexnerian way of dealing with the medical education and dental education was to divide us. Okay, and yes, that's good. We need specialty, but but the health and care of the public is how we spread it out and how we collaborate. So interprofessional education and collaborative care are what our new mantra, and it's not just for the U.S., but for world health.
Oh, great. So that is our call to action.
Yes.
And so what I gathered, what I round up in that statement, what I love is, don't sweat the small stuff. Yeah. And don't let others dim your light.
That's right. Absolutely, absolutely.
Yes, and Dr. Sinkford, you're a light to all of us in the profession of dentistry. You have shown a light on the path for us to move forward. We are excited to continue your work. I know you're not done yet, but we're right there alongside with you. But thank you so much for your leadership, your mentorship, and just being just such a great visionary for dentistry and a trailblazer for us. So I want to wholeheartedly share my sincere gratitude to you for this time you shared with us.
Well, thank you for being here, because to me, you're such a delightful person, and your energy that you put into this issue now is what we need now. We're passing the torch to the next generation, and the issues it's amazing how similar the issues are.
Oh, they are. Yeah, just even with the enrollees of underrepresented minorities in different schools, has not changed since early 70s.
So we know what we can define the issues, but the strategies and the resources are different, and that's what the challenge is now. So good luck to you, and thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. You have a great day. Thank you.
Thank you.